All right, in this lesson we're going to look at adding and subtracting some polynomials. So you'll see just some funky notation in this first problem, and you might not know what to do. But this is asking you to take f of x and add it to g of x. Well, here's f of x, and here's g of x. And all you're going to do is follow this notation, which tells you right here to add it. So I will take f of x and add it to g of x. Okay, I want you to kind of think about this just so that you don't forget this. There's this little imaginary 1 right there, and if you distribute that 1 through the parentheses, it doesn't change anything that's in that parentheses. There's also a little imaginary 1 right here, and if I take this positive 1 now and distribute it through that parentheses, nothing changes there either. So when you're adding, you can just simply drop the parentheses and add your like terms. Remember that a like term has to have the same base with the same exponent. And when you write your answer, you want to write that in biggest exponents first. Okay, so I will go ahead and start out with my x squared term. I don't have anything else to combine it with, so I have 1x squared. And then I have a negative 1x and a positive 1x, which those will just drop. And then I have a negative 2. And I have a negative 3, which I can combine to make negative 5. Okay, and that is that problem. Next, slightly different when you have a subtraction sign in between. The 1 right here, that imaginary 1 that's out there, if you distribute that through the first parentheses, nothing is going to change. So I will just leave it like that. But if I have this imaginary 1 right here, knowing that you have this negative that goes with it, then I have the negative 1 that I distribute through that parentheses. What that does is it changes the sign on every term in that parentheses. And so instead it becomes negative x squared and negative 4x and positive 2. And now you need to combine your like terms. Okay, you're subtracting the entire quantity, not just the first term in that parentheses, and that's a super common mistake. Okay, so now I have 3x squared and negative x squared. I will only add and subtract my coefficients. I'm not multiplying these, so I don't want to add my exponents. I just want to deal with the coefficients here. So 3x squared minus 1x squared would be 2x squared. And then a negative 2x and a negative 4x would give me negative 6x. And then a 3 and a 2 gives me 5. Okay, notice I did list those in order from biggest to smallest exponent, which is sort of the mathematically polite thing to do. All right, and next we've got just kind of a combination here. Again, if I have this 1 in front of here, since it's positive, it doesn't change anything that's in that parentheses. Here, because of the negative 1, if I distribute that, it does change the signs on everything in that parentheses. And then the 1 here, again, doesn't change that. So I will start with my biggest exponents first, which are my x cubed terms. So I have a 3x cubed and I have an 8x cubed, which makes 11x cubed. And then I have a negative 3x squared and a negative 1x squared, which gives me negative 4x squareds. I don't have any plain x terms, but then I have a positive 5 and I have a negative 3, which gives me 2. Okay, and that is a quick little reminder about adding and subtracting polynomials.